All right, so awesome. So my name is Jonathan Zabraki. I'm a realtor, just like you guys. I've been a realtor now for, gosh, coming up on 15 years. I started in Minneapolis, Minnesota area, and my first year I did about 10 million in sales. My second year I did a little over 14 million in sales. But thankfully, my wife was like, you got to find either a different job or you got to find a different way to do residential real estate because I was doing well, but just like no lifestyle. And so between that second and third year, I invested about $80,000 into coaching and training, but outside the typical real estate stuff. Because for the first 2 years, I did all the, I could list the names off. You'd be like, oh yeah, the realtor stuff, right? Which is just kind of like sell more, work harder, that kind of stuff. And that just wasn't working for me. So anyway, between that second and third year, I went out and I actually hired business people. And I said, okay, so my goal is I want to make $800,000 a year of income, but I just don't want to be a slave to my job. And between that second and third year, well, at the end of that third year, I did 27 million in sales, which is about double what I had the year before, but I was working a lot less. I was working about 55 hours a week, which for me felt like just a massive, massive success. So how did I do that? Well, one of the ways is, and I'm going to jot up on the board here, how I did that and how I continue to do that. So for me, I focus on three things. And if you have a piece of paper in front of you, I would draw a triangle. And basically, there's only three things that I focus on during my days. And I'm just going to mute everybody just so that it's nice and quiet. Let's see here. But if you have any questions, ask away. Definitely unmute yourself. So on this triangle, we have attract, convert, and deliver. And that's all I started focusing on, is just those three things. But I started focusing on attracting 16 premium leads a month. So all I wanted to do is monthly just attract 16 leads. So I didn't want the typical, gosh, I want 16 leads a day, or I want 16 leads a week, or I want hundreds of leads. I just want 16, what I call it, premium leads a month. And then I started focusing on the second thing, which is convert. And I wanted to have 8 in-person, face-to-face initial consultations a month. So I'm looking to do 16 leads a month. Out of that 16, half of those people, I'm looking for them to meet with me face-to-face, where I can do an initial consultation with them. Out of that initial consultation, I'm looking for 2 to 3 that I'm going to help out every month. And I'm going to deliver a great VIP experience to them. And that's it. And when I started doing that about 12 years ago, my life changed drastically. I started living, I'd say, more of why I got into real estate for the first place. I started living a better personal life, a better business life, and a better financial life. And I would jot those three things down because that's what I really focus on. So even to this day, I'm like, how can I enjoy a better personal life? How can I enjoy a better business life? And how can I enjoy a better financial life? And what's interesting is that, gosh, I've done a little over 800,000 now of gross commission income per year for the last 12 years. But the cool part about it is, like, I don't even have an admin person, right? So when you're only working with 2 clients, buyers and sellers, oh, like high five, Roberto, or like you got a question? Oh, but definitely unmute yourself if you got a question or. So yeah. So I to this day I don't have an admin person. I do. My wife helps me, and she does certain things, and I subcontract a lot of stuff, right? But I don't have an admin person. So something that I might subcontract. Like here's a 12-page brochure that I create for a seller, but I don't do any of it. I just send it to my designer, Crystal. Well, I get the photos taken. The photographer emails me the photos. I then send a 1-minute email to Crystal saying, hey, here's the photos. Does that make sense? And then she creates this, and then I send her the MLS info and that kind of stuff. So, so that's the triangle that I really, really, really focus on. So now, and let's see, where did that go? Here it is. Cool. So people generally ask me one of two things. They go like, well, what do you say during that initial consultation to get those people to say yes? Or how do you go about even getting the 16 quality leads a month? Well, we'll go with the 16 leads first. So there's 11 different ways that I go about it. And I would get a pen out and start jotting this down. So number 1 is open house. Number 2 is ultimate 200. I suppose as I read them off, I'll just jot them up here. So out of the 11 ways, way number 1 is open house. Way number 2 is ultimate 200, I call it. This is where I'm going to do a phone call, a letter, and a video. So like a phone call, a letter, and a video. And that's one time a month to those folks. Number 3 is my E25. Go into that a little bit. Number 4 is print. Oh my gosh, I do all kinds of cool stuff with print. Number 5 is online. Number 6 is thank you cards. Number 7 is my Tuesday, Friday update calls. Number 8 is lender. Number 9 is builder. Number 10 is housewarming party. And number 11 is a going away party. All right, so those are the 11 ways that I have and that I continue to prospect with. Now, each of those 11 ways, I'll switch back over here so you can see that side. So each of those 11 ways, I've made a little over $300,000 of income from in a typical year, right? So if somebody put in to use all 11, you would make $3.3 million of gross commission income. I don't work with anyone right now who's put in all 11, and I've never put in all 11. I've never made over $3 million of gross commission income per year. So, so number 1, open house. Okay, can I give you exactly what I do for an open house? Thumbs up, yay, nay, yay. Okay, awesome. I'll tell you exactly what I do for open house. So when someone walks in, I put my arms out really wide and I go, oh my gosh, welcome to your new home. And that's very different. Well, I'll go through the whole thing. I'll go, oh my gosh, welcome to your new home. And then I go, my name's Jonathan and you are, and I put my hand out to shake their hand and they shake my hand. And I go, oh, awesome, Fred. Well, hey, so what brings you in today? And Fred says the typical, like, I'm just looking. And I say, awesome. Take a look around. Stay as long as you want, as short as you want. If you have any questions on this house, awesome. If you have any questions in real estate in general, that's cool too. But yeah, have a great day. And then I just walk away. So I get up and I just kind of walk to the kitchen table. I grab a book. whatever book I'm, currently reading at that time or rereading. And then I just grab my book and I sit at my kitchen table or the kitchen table at the house, and then usually about 2 minutes go by. And then I will shout out and I'll be like, hey, so Fred, where are you at? And Fred will say, we're in the basement or we're in the backyard or we're up in stairs. And then I'll go up to the stairs, see where Fred's at. And I go, say, Fred, so what do you think? Do you guys want to buy the house? And Fred will either say, yes, I want to buy the house, which then I write up the offer and I help him buy the house. Or most times Fred says, I just don't think this is the right one for us. And then I get out my CRM. This is my CRM. I usually have to get a new CRM about every year or two. So this is last year's version. And it has duct tape down the middle because I used it so much. In fact, it falls out. But this is where I just keep track of people come in. I write their names down and all that kind of stuff. It's probably a more simpler CRM than what you're using. I like simple. And so I open up my CRM, I get my pen out, and I say, so Fred, because Fred will say, no, this is what I want to buy. Cool, so Fred, so what are you looking for? And generally, Fred will start telling me what he's looking for. Or Fred might have some objections of, I'm already working with a realtor, or this and that. If Fred says, I'm already working with a realtor, I say, oh, okay, cool. And then I'll bring out a buyer rep form. In California, I don't have one on me right now, but pretend this is the buyer rep form. I'd be like, oh, so you signed this buyer rep form, you signed here, you initialed here, you put your blood type here, and Fred's gonna be like, nah, we didn't sign that form. And I say, oh, well then, is Fred fair game? The answer would be yes. Fred has not signed a buyer rep form. So Fred is fair game. So then I'll go, well, tell me, Fred, like, what's holding you back? What's stopping you from, getting this place that you want? And then whatever the case is, and then I'll say, oh my gosh, Fred, you know what we got to do? We got to meet for an initial consultation. And this is when I show him this book. This is my initial consultation book. It doesn't say anything about me. It's really pretty basic. In fact, so far, how much have I told Fred how great of a realtor I am? And how many thousands of homes I've sold? That's never going to come up. Because Fred doesn't care about that. What does Fred care about? He just wants to buy the place or buy a house. Does that make sense? And he kind of wants to work with a good person, somebody he can trust. And so basically I go, hey, so Fred, so we should meet for a 10-minute initial consultation. The first 5 minutes is about me and how I can benefit you. The next 5 minutes is I'm going to ask you these 7 questions to really find out if you should move or if you should just stay put. So this open house is done at 1:30. Why don't we meet at Joe's Coffee at 1:45 and I'll go over this with you. And if Fred says yes to that, great. Then he's one of my 8 initial consultations for the month. If Fred says, no, I don't want to meet, then do you know what I do?
What?
I say, sounds good. See you, Fred. And he's not one of my 8 initial consultations for the month. Because I don't want to pull teeth. I tell people I'm not a dentist. So I have no desire to pull teeth. I have no desire to drag somebody to want to work with me. It's either you want my help or you don't want my help. And for me, that's just way liberating. Now, I probably lose out on $200,000 to $300,000 of additional commissions a year, but I'm okay making my $900,000, give or take, working with just really cool clients versus having to add another $200,000 to $300,000, but now I got to pull all my hair out. And I come home and I'm just cranky. Does that make sense? Because that's what I did my first 2 years. And my wife's like, you're just really cranky all the time. That's why you got to find a different job. You got to find a different way to do this. So, gosh, can I quick show you now what I do for the initial consultation?
Yes, please.
Okay, sweet. So we go to Joe's Coffee or whatever, and I pull up the binder and I go, okay, cool. So we got mutual permission to reject. What this means is you may want to work with me or you may not want to work with me. Either way, Fred, is okay. Oh my gosh, what is that? What does that tell Fred?
No pressure.
Yeah, like zero, none. And Fred's interacted with, let's say, 10 other realtors in the last month. Is any other realtor talking this way to Fred?
No.
No, it's not happening. So within milliseconds, he's like, this guy's either really weird, he's really different, he's some of both, but I'm really intrigued. This is very interesting. This is very non-realtor-ish. And I'll tell him, I'll say, the first 5 minutes is about me and how I can benefit you. And if you don't think I can benefit you, no worries, right? And if you do think I can benefit you, then I'm going to ask you these 7 questions, and then I'll let you know if you guys should move or just stay put. Now, you really got 4 options, and that's the second page when you buy or sell. Number 1 is you don't have to move. Like, there's no emperor of the world yet that I'm aware of that says you must move or you must sell. So, like, you only want to do this if you want to do it. And number 2, you can buy a home on your own. You can sell a home on your own. Number 3, you can use a traditional realtor. In San Diego, there's 21,603. In your area, it's really easy to find out how many there are. Just call your local like MLS board. They'll let you know. Or number 4, you can use a professional like myself. Usually, Fred will say, well, what's the difference between a realtor and a professional real estate consultant? Like, I've never heard of the two. And I go, well, gosh, I could talk for 4 weeks on it, but really to sum it up is this. My purpose is for you to be really dazzled with the high level of service I give you, and you get the house that you want, that you just introduce me to 2 people before we close on your home. Can I count on you to do that? And Fred will either say yes or no. And then my 3 promises to you. So number 1, I'm always going to be on time. And I got to get out my cash. I always have like stacks of cash, usually like $10,000, give or take. This is sitting on my binder at the open house. And the reason I do it, well, we'll get to that in a second. But when I talk about my promises, I say, hey, so if I'm ever late, because number 1, I'm always going to be on time. So if I'm ever late, I owe you $100. Number 2, my promise is I'm going to be brutally honest with you. So if you think I tainted the truth in any way, here's $100. And number 3, I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. So if you decide to use me to sell your house, if I tell you the photographer is going to be there at 3 o'clock and the photographer is there at 3:01, I owe you $100. Do you think there's a lot of realtors in your area saying that stuff to people? No, it's not happening, right? So when Fred hears that, I don't know, does Fred like people? Listen, let me ask you guys this. Do you guys like people to be on time?
Yes.
Do you guys like people to be honest with you? Do you guys like people to actually follow through and do what they say they're going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I tell people I'm really not even selling real estate. A good realtor doesn't even sell real estate. They're just selling these things. Like, I'm a trustworthy person, let me help you. And then I go, well, as my newest client, and I love that phrase, as my newest client, because Fred hasn't decided to work with me yet, but I think we're working together, right? As my newest client, Fred, there's 3 things I'm going to do with you and for you. Consult with you, negotiate for you, handle all the details. Now, consult, what does that mean? That means I'm going to make sure you're making a good, wise decision every step of the way. Number 2, I'm going to negotiate for you. But I got to let you know, I'm going to treat your money like my money, but I don't treat my money that lightly. Like, remember at the open house, for if I just met them from a friend, I'd bring this money along and sit it on the coffee table, and I'd be like, I don't treat my money like it's my last dollar. Does that make sense? Like when I sell your house, I'm going to overinvest to get your home sold faster for more money with less stress. Most realtors are interested in how do we chisel down the cost and how can I list a home as cheaply as possible. I don't believe in that. I believe in the invested approach. Does that make sense? Like if I owned a basketball team, I want LeBron James on my team. I want Steph Curry on my team. I want the good players on my team, and I'm willing to pay him $30 million a year. Does that make sense? But there's other teams like i.e. San Diego Padres for baseball. They don't believe in that philosophy. Thus, they're never any good. So it's like we live in a capitalistic society, Fred. So when, you get what you pay for. Does that make sense? If you buy a Mercedes, you're getting a better quality experience car than a Honda, let's say. They're both the same car. They both have 4 wheels, a steering wheel, but it's just different quality. It's like going to the county fair or going to Disneyland. They both have rides. They both have corn dogs. It's just different. And maybe those corn dogs are bought at the same factory, but it's a different experience. Does that make sense? Disneyland is a different experience than the county fair. So what I am going to do is handle all the details for you. And then bottom line, I'm going to get the job done. I'm not going to let you down. Oh my gosh, I just had to hire somebody to fix one of our gutters. And the guy rambled on about like gutter this, gutter that. I told him, I went upstairs, I got this piece of paper. I said, really, all you need to do is tell me this, gutter salesperson, and I'm good with you. Just tell me bottom line, sir, I'm going to get the job done properly for you and I'm not going to let you down. If you just start to incorporate that one phrase, you will probably add $50,000 of income to you within the next 12 months. Does that make sense?
You have to execute as well.
Oh, yeah. The gutter person has to show up and fix the gutter. Exactly. So the key is, well, how do we properly get a home sold? How do we properly help someone to buy a home? So now I got my performance guarantees. So I have 3 performance guarantees, and I say, hey, I guarantee I'll save you $10,000 off of any house you buy, and if not, I owe you $2,400 cash. And many times I'll say, you can just keep the $2,400. Right? So I bring $2,400 and I just give it to them. And then I just tell them, hey, if I am able to save you $10,000 or more, then can you just give it back to me at closing? Is that going to gain some loyalty?
Oh, I hope they better work with you then. Might be out $2,400.
Yeah. I mean, I've never had anybody take the money and never call me again. Does that make sense? But I also want to make sure, I'm not doing, well, gosh, I'll get into that in a second. And then my second performance guarantee is that this will be the best selling experience ever. So if you've sold anything before, a pen, a computer, a remote control, a phone, 4 cars, doesn't matter to me. This will be the #1 selling experience ever. And if not, just let me know. And I owe you $1,000 at closing, or 2 Apple iPads, whatever you prefer. And then my biggest performance guarantee is this. When you work with me to buy a home, if you don't want to work with me at any time in the process, this is the third one. You just simply let me know and we don't work together anymore. Like no risk, no obligation, no awkward like breakup, And then for sellers, same kind of thing. I'm going to sell your home in 63 days, best selling experience ever. And, if you decide to not work with me anymore, then that's cool. Then we don't work together anymore. So Fred, that's real quick. That's the 5 minutes of how I work and how it can benefit you. Can I ask you these 7 questions now? And what does Fred say?
Sure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you must be like at my ICs. So Fred says sure. So now I gotta grab my book. I'm gonna grab this is my guide to your success. So this is like 104 pages of verbatim how to get the 11 lead sources, how to do the initial consultation, and how to deliver a VIP experience. So here's it's page 90, I think it is, but these are the 7 questions. So the 7 questions, I'll go through them real quick. It's a little more complicated than this, but hey, so Fred, what's important about moving to you? And then Fred will say something. I'll say, tell me more about that. And whatever he says, I'm writing down, just like a good doctor, right? A good doctor is going to jot down on a file folder kind of what's going on. And then the third question is, well, what happens when you imagine that? And then describe, well, what happens if you don't get that? Describe, well, what would that do for you? And how would it make you feel for you to accomplish that? And is that what you really want? And generally what happens is people near the bottom get into what they really want. Like at the top is like, I want 2 bedrooms, Cape Cod style, and 2,200 square feet. When you get to question 5, 6, 7, it's more like, I really want to feel like a good dad. I want to give my kids the best school experience ever. I really want to have an outdoor pool so we can have kids over to the house so that it just feels great, and I make my kids happy, right? That's kind of what happens as I get to the point of feeling great, happy, satisfied, less stress, whatever it is. I help a lot of people downsize, from kind of the McMansion homes down to like a non-McMansion home. And so then I say, cool. Well, based on what you told me, Fred, my best advice is we go out and we make this happen for you. Let's get your McMansion home sold, and let's get you into that more, livable type of home, and let's go make it happen. Fred goes, great. And usually within 3 to 10 days, we have an offer on a house that they want to buy. Because I've taken that time up front and I've really narrowed in as to what they desire. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Versus surfacey stuff, because surfacey stuff will come and go, right? Like that's why maybe some people flake out at a home inspection or an appraisal, or they talk to a friend or a brother and, oh, maybe now is not a good time. Maybe the market's too high or the market's too low or whatever it is. I don't keep track of interest rates. I don't keep track of inventory high or inventory low. It doesn't matter. These questions are, why do you want to do it? Does that make sense? And then I'm just giving them permission to do it. So open house, ultimate 200. Oh, this is a great way to if you don't have, you can make easy $300,000 a year by calling your, I don't want to say database, but your ultimate 200. So I have thousands of people that I know, but I only communicate with 200 of them a month. Because I used to do it where I tried to communicate with my whole database, and it was a mess. It's close to humanly impossible to have a relationship with more than 200 people. So I want to have a relationship with 200 people. What does that mean? I'm going to call them once a month. I am never going to ask them for business. Never. But I'm going to get business from it. And gosh, we don't have time to go into that dialogue. But and then the E25, this is where once a month I want to take 25 people out for something. And at the beginning of my career, I didn't have a lot of money. And so I would take people out to go feed the ducks. And I would get day-old bread from the grocery store. And I'd get, 40 loaves of bread. And people would bring their kids or their grandkids, and each child would get a loaf of bread. Oh my God, they loved it. Does that make sense? You could take people out to a new hamburger place that opens up, or whatever the case might be.
It's called E25?
Yeah.
Why E25?
Because it's my elite 25. It's my Navy SEALs. So with my elite 25, And with many people in the Freedom Club, with their Elite 25, they're doing anywhere from 100 to 400,000 of income a year just from doing a once a month event with 25 people. These are people that are like your raving fans. Does that make sense? And if you don't have raving fans, well, start doing the E25. Well, it's kind of funny when you buy people dinner or baseball tickets or whatever. It's a good thing. And then print media. So, gosh, let me look on print. So for print media, I have a couple of things that I do. I have EDGM postcards. That's probably one of my favorites. Where is one? Here's one. Okay, so this is a typical EDDM postcard that I send out. For those who aren't familiar with EDDM postcard, it's, I don't know, probably costs 30 cents a piece. I probably mail out 10,000 of these a month. This is actually Anderson and Oliver. They're part of the Freedom Club. They're out of Houston, Texas. This is one of theirs, but it's the exact same thing. And on the back, that's what it says. Thinking of selling your home for extraordinary results, call. We're going to sell your home faster for more money with less stress. We're going to get sold for the highest price, pretty much the same thing. And that's it. And I'll send about 10,000 of those postcards out a month. It's spendy, probably costs me $3,800 a month, but I generally earn about $62,000 a month. So I spend 3 and I make 62. My younger brother, who's smarter than me, says, well, Jonathan, could you like double that and spend 6 and then make 120,000? And then I go, gall dang it. Why are you my smarter younger brother? Why didn't that rub off on me? You know what I mean? So yes, you can always like send more out and you'll just make more. It's kind of like Doritos. I think their commercial is eat all you want. We'll just make more. Now there's some people in the Freedom Club that send out maybe, they spend about $1,000 a month on these. Awesome. They're still doing well. They're probably adding about 20,000 of additional income per month. Does that make sense? So cool. So we got the EDDM postcards. I already showed you my 12-page brochure. This is awesome. This sits in front of the house. So when somebody goes to the house and pulls up, a typical brochure, and then they drive by one of my listings and they see this one, like this one, they go like, wow, that house is way better. It's not that the house is better. It's just my marketing's better. Does that make sense? And then they call. When somebody calls off of, I'll give you guys a tip real quick. When someone calls off of any ad you have, and they're calling off a specific house, like a Realtor.com lead, Zillow, Trulia, sign call, all you need to do is say this. Awesome. Let's go see the house. That's all you need to say. Because when somebody calls off of this house, and gosh, I don't have time, but I could. Each page on here is like meticulously proven to work, but the phone number is like really big. When they call off of this, do they already like the house or do they not like the house? Yeah, they already like the house, otherwise they wouldn't call on it. It's kind of like, have you guys ever gone into a barber shop and been like, and they go, hey, would you like a haircut? And you go, nah, I'm just looking. I just wanted to check it out. Right? Or have you ever gone into McDonald's and been like, hey, can I help you? You go, nah, I'm just checking out the carbohydrate menu. Right? It's like, it doesn't happen. So what one of my wiser business coaches 12 years ago told me, who runs businesses, is like, when somebody calls off of this, what do realtors start to do? I'm like, we start to talk about bedrooms, bathrooms, how long you been working, are you pre-approved, what's your blood type, blah, 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 all this stuff. He's like, okay, well, stop that nonsense. He's like, when someone calls in, just go like, wow, that is a cool house, 14884 Escoba. That's a cool address. Let's go see it. And voila, I mean, it works. It's magical. So 12-page brochure. Oh my gosh, I do 7 letters. So when I get a listing, I don't do just sold, just listed. I mail 7 letters out to that neighborhood. That usually generates me another good IC from that. I do have some letters I could send out. So if I got dropped into Topeka, Kansas, I could send out a couple of letters and I would get some sellers to reach out to me. Number 5, online. So for online leads, my biggest thing is realtor.com. I love it. My second biggest thing is every house that I list, I have a website. And on that website, it goes to, it's a property specific website with very little information about me. The only thing it has on me is my phone number. Otherwise, it's 100% house specific, because the buyer, when they're calling off of this house, do they care about me? No. So because I know that, I'm going to put nothing in there about me. Like my name could be Mark. They're not going to care. They're going to be like, just, we want to see the house. Does that make sense? So, okay, that's that. Number 6 is 2 thank you cards a day. Oh yeah, send out 2 thank you handwritten cards a day. Let me see. Let's see if I got this here. All right, so George W. Bush, and doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, or independent, or don't vote. George W. Bush, the older guy, was asked by a reporter once, how'd you become president? And George W. Bush said, I write 2 handwritten thank you cards a day to people that I talked to earlier in the day that I liked them. And so I said, oh my gosh, if somebody can become president and do that, I wonder what that'll do for my real estate business. So this is cards that I've gotten so far from 2017. It's like a pretty big box of thank you cards, all right? The only reason I've gotten this big box of thank you cards is because I mail out a lot of thank you cards. Does that make sense? And think about this. When was the last time you got a handwritten thank you card from somebody? Just saying like, hey, it was good bumping into you. I'm glad you're on my softball team. Have a great day. Like it doesn't happen. Does that make sense? And it's the same reason I'm doing that open house dialogue that way. It's the same reason that I do everything the way I do, because it's just, I want to be different, but I want to be different in a good way. Let's see. Roberto's asking what goes in the brochure. Very little. So a lot of photos. So I have the address. I have bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, and just more photos. Big phone number, right? Because I want them to call. More photo. Look at all the text. How much text am I saying about the house?
Almost nothing.
Yeah. We'll just scratch almost and just say nothing. Let's see. Here's a big photo. Let's see if the next page has got any more info on the house. Nothing.
Price anywhere?
No price. No, nothing. I don't even tell them. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because people aren't buying a house because it's got a 32-year roof shingle or a 27-year roof shingle. Or if people do buy a house that way, I don't want them as my client. That sounds like a pain in the rear client. Right? Like I have no clue if my house is built like 2x4, 2x6, or 2x8. I just know I like it. It's got a cool looking kitchen. Does that make sense? It's like, and this house, this is, for my neighborhood, this is like a $600,000 house. So this is not in the upper bracket in my neighborhood. But yeah, having that brochure works for everybody. Typically homes in lower bracket price point, that's where you get all these people that just want like, I want more info. I want more info. I want more info. Somebody at a more premium price point, like I like the neighborhood. If it has $100 HOA or $400 HOA, like, okay, it doesn't, it's like, I'm going to fly first class. I really don't care what the price is. Just put me in first class. You know, I'm going to buy a BMW. I might have to buy a 3 Series BMW, but I'm buying a BMW. It doesn't really matter, right? So, because again, I go back to, remember those 3 things I do for people? I'm going to consult, negotiate, handle all the details. But I tell them negotiate, I'm not going to chisel. So if you're looking for a realtor to chisel and save you a couple $100 or $1,000 here or there, I'm not the right person for you. Does that make sense? So I
Yes.
repel a lot of those folks. Okay, so number 7 is Tuesday, Friday update calls. Oh my gosh, we're flying way low on time. But that's where I call every single person that either have their house listed, it's an escrow, it's on the market, well, that's listed, or it's people that I'm like very much out looking, showing homes with. And I do a 1, 2, 3, 5-step process with them. In this 5-step process, this is how I get, whenever I work with one buyer, by the time, I should cross it, not every buyer, but my goal is for every one buyer or one seller I'm working with, that by the end of the time, like when it closes, they've introduced me to another 1 to 2 people that I can work with. Does that make sense? That just makes my life easy. And as long as you're delivering a great experience for people, people are willing to do that. It's the same way Walt Disney decided to build Walt Disney World and Disneyland. He's like, we're really not going to advertise a lot. We're just going to give people a phenomenal experience. So when they come to Disneyland, they go like, yeah, this is pretty good. This is different than the county fair. And then they go back and but their friends go, yeah, but what's the difference? And they're like, it's hard to even describe. It's the same hot dog. It's the same 12-ounce can of Coca-Cola, but it's just like different. It's just like, it's clean, it's fresh, it's fun. Like the people want to be there. Versus when you go to the county fair, they're like, they don't want to be there. Many times the employees, you know. Number 8 is lenders. How do I promote my landing page? I don't. So I don't do any social media for residential real estate. I don't even think I have a website. You guys could probably find out, like Google my name, Jonathan Zabrocki, and I don't think I even have a company website for Zabrocki Real Estate Group. The only person that would go there would probably be my mom or my dad. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, not into that. It's just too much work, right? I want to do that initial consultation and impress people that way, if that makes sense. And what I'm impressing people with is just I ask good questions. And number 2, I listen to their answers. I'm a really good listener. And unfortunately, we're not taught that in school. We're taught how to communicate and salesmanship and all that. Blah. Don't like salesmanship. I like to listen to people. Because when you really active listen, oh my gosh, now you got a chance to like make some money, right? Like Oprah Winfrey, really good at asking questions, really good at listening. Does that make sense? David Letterman, really good at asking questions, really good at listening. You think about the most successful people out there, they're very good at asking great questions, very good at listening. Okay, cool. So lender, number 8, I want to make sure I have a lender that's sending me $1 million of business a month. Number 9, builder. I want a builder sending me $500,000 of business a month. And then housewarming party and going away party. So every time that I help somebody buy a home, we do a housewarming party. Every time I help somebody sell a home, we do a going away party. So those are the 11 ways of how to get the clients. We went over how to convert them, how to deliver. So much of that is going back to that initial consultation and doing those Tuesday, Friday update calls and really making sure, like, do you guys want to like sell your house, or do you want to list your house? Do you guys want to buy, or do you want to just search for places to buy? Does that make sense? It's so yeah. Awesome. Any questions on any of that stuff real quick? It's a lot of stuff. It's like 12. Yeah. Fire away, hand in the air. Icon.
Is that me?
It looks like Ed. So Ed, let's see. Maybe, do you know how to unmute yourself, Ed? Hi. I think I might have unmuted Ed. Woohoo. Can you hear us, Ed? All right. Well, anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah. Where do you host that single property landing page? Is it you create a website for that?
Yeah, I'd go through this company called Ultra Savvy Agency. Let me see if I can share you my screen. Ultra Savvy Agency. That's Zabraki. I wonder if that's going to go somewhere. Let's go. Oh, it's going to go to my login. So let's see if I just do www.ultrasavvyagency. Yep, that's it. Yeah, the guy who owns this, his name is David Short. Really cool dude. And yeah, he'll make, he and I like believe in the same thing. So like this house here, how much does it talk about who's the listing agent? There's a nice movie. I love it. Like very little about the listing agent. Boom. Now comes Raj. But otherwise, it's just pictures, pictures, pictures. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And on a home, well, let me see if I have one even. So let's go to www. Got scrambled. Let's see if this one is up and running. Highlands Ranch Estate. This is one I sold a little while ago. Highlands Ranch Estate probably cost me $3,000 every time I list a house. So some of us might be like $3,000, and I'd be like, yeah, well, sell higher priced homes. Right? Let me help. Let me help you so that you, when you invest $3,000, you're like really excited about it. Let's see, where's the video? Oh, sweet, here's the video. Okay, so this is okay. Can you guys tell I'm not techie? So now you know why I don't have a website, because I'd be like, I wouldn't know how to run the website. So I show this to a seller and I say, this is what I'm going to create for you. Well, and then in my back of my mind, I'm not creating it. I'm paying somebody about $450 and they create it. But this here, doesn't this feel a lot more than $450 to a typical seller? A seller is going to think I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on it. And I tell them, see, like a virtual tour, that's kind of 1980s. A Matterport 3D, ugh, you got to be an engineer to run the thing. Most people buying homes at a certain price point, they don't have a lot of free time. So they're not going to Matterport, or virtual tour it. They just want this. And after, how many seconds is that? 53 seconds? They're like, sold. We don't need to see anymore. This is what we want. Does that make sense? It's just, you're selling a feeling. Every advertisement out there is selling a feeling. Budweiser doesn't sell hops and water. Diet Pepsi doesn't sell sugar water. It's a feeling, right? Anyway, I guess I'll stop that. Sweet. Oh my gosh. Can I help you guys out some more?
Sure.
Okay. So I do have a tech guy who runs well, this is how you guys found me basically. It's from my tech guy. His name is Brian. And if you go to this website, profitsandpassions.com, I'm doing this event July 19th to the 21st. And it's here in San Diego. I just got done with our Freedom Club implementation event, which I do usually about every 3 months. The first day there were 16 of us. We generated a little over 142,000 of new gross commission income potential. That's pretty good, right? Now, we don't actually implement stuff during this event here, but I teach you everything that has allowed me to go from zero to over $390 million of closed residential sales. So like, I'll tell you, well, everything. I give you the exact verbiage. In fact, when you sign up for this, like immediately when you sign up, you get this, which is the guide to your success, which is this manual which walks you through step by step. You get all kinds of examples of my brochures. You get examples of the postcard, so you can just like copy it basically. And the 3-day event, usually it's $3,000 to attend. It also comes with a guarantee. So I tell you that by the end of that 3rd day, you're going to walk away with a very clear picture of how you can add $300,000 of income to you within 12 months. And if you don't think you can achieve that, just let me know at the end of that 3rd day, and I refund you back that $3,000 that you paid to attend the event. But what I'm doing is I'm doing that, plus I'm doing this 30-day accelerate. And this 30-day accelerate, I'm just looking at my calendar, I think it's going to start June 26th. And this is where we're going to get on a call 4 times for an hour live, and we're going to go over open house and exactly how to do it. And then we're going to go over these other things that we talked about. We're going to go over how to do an initial consultation. We will role play an initial consultation. We'll go over all the objections that are going to come up in an initial consultation. And the 30-day accelerate's usually $1,000 to do that. Well, if you go here, in fact, Brian still should have it. Let me double check though.
Not bad. And I pick up my 3rd commission check.
Jean's great. Jean has been Jean came to this event before she even had her real estate license. And then within, I think, 3 weeks, she got her first listing, which was a $1.3 million listing. So kudos to Jean. Okay, what am I looking for? Okay, so yeah, claim your ticket now. I just want to make sure. Okay, sweet, it is. So basically, you can come to the 3-day event and you get the 30-day accelerate. And instead of, 1,000 plus 3,000, it's $998. I don't know how long Brian will have that up. My guess is not long. It's limited to 30 realtors. One of the reasons I do that is, 1, I'm an introvert by heart. Number 2 is I really want to spend time with all 30 people that are there. Like it's not something you want to come to just gather information. It's something you want to come to so that you gather it and then you implement the information. Like it's going to transform the way your business life works, your personal life works, your financial life works. Does that make sense? So I've been doing this now where I teach realtors throughout America since, what are we in, June now? Oh my gosh. So basically 1 year and 3 months I've been doing this. I still sell real estate to this day. I always will sell real estate. I just love it. And I just find it quite easy too. But there's been about 240 people that have gone through this class. And the number of lives that have been changed are drastic. And I have that guarantee on it. So it's pretty much close to 0 risk. So you invest, well, right now, you invest $1,000. You get the 30-day accelerate, which is those 4 calls before the event. You can come to the event, and at the end of that 3-day event, and all those calls are recorded, so I send them out to you as well. You get part of our like mini membership site and stuff like that. But then come to the event, and if you're like, hey, Jonathan, I don't see how I can add $300,000 of income in the next 12 months or less by doing these things, there's no arguing, there's no arm twisting, I'm not into that, and I just refund you $1,000, which is what the price is right now. If you wait till probably later in the week, then it might be that, you know, $4,000. But if you pay $4,000, then I refund you all $4,000. So that's that. Any questions on that? So that website is profitsandpassions.com. One of the reasons I call it Profits and Passions is because I believe every realtor in America should be making about $500,000 of income per year. And I believe every realtor in America should be having the time of their life. So thus, it's, you know, Profits and Passions. Cool. Go out this weekend. Do the open houses that way. If you don't have an open house, gosh, get on these 30-day accelerate calls, and I will show you how to go get a $800,000, $900,000 open house. What's the percentage that comes in from the postcards? Well, so I spend about $3,800 a month on the EDD on postcards, and I bring in about $62,000 a month. From that, I get about 2 clients. So I'm sending out 10,000 postcards, and I get 2 clients. I'm not so interested in like, well, I'm not into, there's 2 words, quantity and quality, right? I'm not into quantity, I'm into quality. And if I had to send out 20,000 postcards to get 2 good leads or 2 clients, I would do that. Because see, what I don't want to do, I don't want to spend my days following up with leads. I'm just not interested in that. I did that my first 2 years in real estate. It was a nightmare. I don't have a desire to follow up with people that don't want to be followed up with. Is it the same postcard every month? Do you change them? Well, truth be told, I don't change them that much. So on my, like, I'll have like just sold. I got a just sold on there from 2014. So I guess technically it still is just sold. It's not like a decade old. And I've never had someone be like, hey, your postcard looks exactly the same. Because what happens is people get the postcard. Well, I'll even do this. You say this is the postcard, and it's not. But if this postcard comes in the mail, it says, thinking of selling your home, 9,998 people do that. Isn't that how you guys do your mail? You get it, and if you don't need an oil change, you throw the thing out. But then it comes to that day where you do need an oil change, and you go like, whoa, oil change, $10 off, let's go, right? And it's the same in real estate. And what's so awesome is that this works. I'm not in all 50 states yet. We don't have Alaska. We don't have Rhode Island. We got Connecticut. We got Maine. We don't have New Hampshire. Besides those, it works in every state. And I'm pretty sure it'll work in those states. We don't have anybody there yet. Does that make sense? And it's not based on experience. So when I moved out to San Diego 7 years ago, and I kind of just retired for the first 3 years. I started a real estate company in Minnesota, and I sold that now a few years ago. But fast forward, so 7 years ago, moved out to San Diego. 4 years ago, I woke up, I'm like, I don't do anything. This is not good. Like, I got 4 kids, And I'm like, my kids need to see me working a little bit, because I think they're gonna think you just turn a certain age and like money comes to you. So I'm like, I should sell some real estate in San Diego. So nobody knows me from Adam. We didn't know anybody in San Diego. My little brother lives in Ladera Ranch, which is like a 90-minute drive. It's in Orange County, it's LA, but that's the closest person. And I did over $20 million of closed sales that first year, of which about half of it came from postcards that I, mailed out. Now this isn't the postcard. The postcard is, this one here. But yeah, people don't care. My first listing appointment was this. They go like, hey, so have you sold any homes in Poway? And because my first promise is I'm always going to be on time, or I owe you 100. My second promise is I got to be brutally honest, right? So it's kind of like that movie with Jim Carrey, Liar, Liar. That's how I feel like I am. And so they go, have you sold me homes in Poway? I'm like, no. So, and then pretend this is the listing agreement. So this is where you sign. And then they signed. So like, I can show you how to overcome so many objections that you get by just being honest with people, right? I'm sure you guys have it, and I certainly have it. The real estate books that tell you the 4,022 objections and how to do it. And I used to memorize all that stuff. And oh my gosh, you sign up, you come to the 3-day event, you attend those 30-day Accelerate calls, you will have, well, I guarantee you will never need to attend another real estate event again, unless you just want to waste some time. So at the end of the 3-day event, I mean, right now you're paying $1,000 to get both of those things. And at the end of the 3-day event, number one, if it wasn't the best real estate event you've ever attended, or you think you'll need to attend another one by some other person later down the road, let me know. I refund you back the $1,000. Number two, yeah, if you don't think you can make $300,000 of income from this, then I refund that back to you too. Let's see, the easy exit listing. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's I call it a performance guarantee. So I just say, if you don't want to work with me, then let me know. I guess. And then Ed's got a question too. He typed it in privately. Let's see. How do you pick which neighborhood to send to? I guess you fire you anytime helps. Not sure what that question is. How do I pick a neighborhood? Okay, so this is what I would do. So if I got dropped into Topeka, Kansas, I get off the airplane, I drive through Topeka, Kansas. Am I going to be able to know which houses are like cooler than other houses? Like, would all of us know that if we drove through Topeka, Kansas for 2 hours? Like, we'd have a good feeling like, oh my gosh, that suburb XYZ, that thing is really nice. And this suburb ABC, ugh, I don't want that thing, right? If you see a shopping cart in somebody's front yard, that probably means it's a rough neighborhood. And if you see a nice gated entry, it's like, that sounds like a neighborhood I'd like to do. And then I show you exactly how to send the postcards to those cool neighborhoods. So it doesn't matter if there's some queen of the real estate in your area or some king, and they've sold homes since the Mayflower landed. The key is like, you just start doing this, because the public doesn't care. The public does not care. They don't care what company you're with. They don't care what your name is. They don't care if you've sold 9 homes or 900 homes. The public just wants their home sold, or they just want to buy a home. Does that make sense? When I go get my hair cut, I don't interrogate my haircut person the first time I see them. I just go get a haircut. When I went to my McDonald's today to get my Big Mac and my medium French fry, my large Diet Coke, because I love Diet Coke, I mean, I didn't ask them, hey, how long have you been working at McDonald's? Are you sure you know how to cook the French fries? I just assumed they would know what to do. Silly question, Ed asks. My wife is brand new, doesn't have any listings. Do you have a system to find buyers using postcards? Wow. Okay, so those 11 ways. So each of those 11 ways, Ed, that will add 300,000 of income to your wife within 12 months. And again, I've never personally done all 11 in 1 year. The most income I've ever done personally is about 1.8 million. But yeah, I would say this, Ed. I would sign up. It sounds like you must be a realtor too. I mean, sign up for this event. It's guaranteed. Like, you're going to walk away with a very clear picture of how you can add $300,000 of income to you. And if you don't see that, then you just simply let me know, and I refund you back 100% of that $1,000 that you paid, and you get to keep all the materials and all that kind of cool stuff. So it is like, it's as risk-free can get. And the reason I do that is because I'm a realtor. I'm not a professional speaker. I'm not a professional motivator. I'm not oh my gosh, we probably all have taken some real estate classes or education from people that aren't realtors. Sometimes even our branch managers aren't even realtors. Does that make sense? And to me, that's the reason I started this, because I got really tired of, in essence, somebody wanting to learn how to lose 100 pounds, taking advice from somebody who's never lost 100 pounds. Does that make sense? It is there's one thing to talk about what to do. There's another thing to well, this is what I see other realtors doing, and this is what you should do. And then the third way, which I think the best way, is to be taught by somebody who's actually doing it. Does that make sense? And that's, I think, the big difference of myself, is that I'm doing this. Like, there is no guesswork. There's no theory. There's no masterminding with this. It's like, this is the complete proven signature system. And all you got to do is be brave enough to be like, yeah, I'll take it, and I'm going to run with it. Does that make sense? And the cool part about it is there's no calling expireds. There's no calling FSBOs. There's really no cold calling. And it's just helping people. There's no memorizing the 72 objection handlers. It's just treat people like you'd want to be treated. Does that make sense? And realize some people want to buy a home. Awesome. Some people don't want to buy a home. That's okay. Some people don't want to use me because I wear a hat. That's okay. Does that make sense? I had one buyer say, we just don't want to work with a realtor that's got glasses. And I was like, oh, cool. Then I can't help you out because I got glasses. Does that make sense? It's like, I have a phrase that says SW, 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 SW. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. And it's not a mean thing. It's just, I'm just not going to well, one of the things we do at the 3-day event, well, the first thing we do actually on the 30-day Accelerate calls, we work on the Freedom Multiplier. When you get this Freedom Multiplier correct in your brain, you are then going to be very eager to attract the right kind of person and repel the wrong kind of person. Doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just isn't a good fit for you to help them buy or sell a home. Let's see here. Do you mail to the same people every month, or do you change? Yeah, so same people, Andy. And I think that was a private question you got on it. So those EDDM postcards, if I got dropped into Topeka, Kansas, that cool gated neighborhood is probably going to stay pretty cool for the next decade. So I'm going to keep sending to that neighborhood. But again, no one's reading that postcard, Andy, until they want to sell a house. Otherwise, they just look at it and go, look at it and go, just like me with oil changes, I don't notice the 92 oil change cards I get a month until I need an oil change. And then I'm like, wow, oil change. And they've been sending me them for like, you know, all the time. I just haven't noticed it. And I could talk for a half hour about it, but there's this fancy part of your brain called the reticulator activator. I think it's number 62 part of your brain. Okay, let me go through these questions quick, then I gotta fly. What is the closest hotel? Okay, so we start at 8 a.m. in the morning, and it's 3 solid days, 8 to 5, although we usually hang out in the evenings and stuff like that. So closest hotel is right there. It's at the Rancho Bernardo Inn is where it's located. And let's see, Rancho Bernardo Inn. Let's see, you guys can probably see my screen, maybe not. What am I trying to find? I'll scratch that. Yeah, the Rancho Bernardo Inn. It's in zip code 92127. Will do. No refunds needed. You're the real deal. Oh, well, I appreciate that, Ed. But if you don't feel you can. Does that make sense? So I'm going to give you the information, but I need you by the end of that 3rd day to be like, you know what? I can do this. Like, I want to do this. I want to, and I'm willing to do this, and to then make an additional 300,000. Like, if you don't feel that way, just let me know, and I refund you back 100% of what you paid. Because the stuff that you're going to learn is just, well, it's how to relate to people, just how to kind of be just nice. And I think, well, it's not techie. So if you're into techie, if you're into shiny widgets, like, I am not the right guy for you, as you can probably tell by now. Like, I'm just into results, but I'm into cashing larger checks. Does that make sense? So if you're not cashing 10, 15, 20, $25,000 checks every time you help a buyer seller, come to the event. Sign up. It's in zip code 92128. That's Rancho Bernardo area. It's a part of San Diego. Any hotel around there will work, but you could also stay at the RBN, which is the resort that it's going to be at. I guess I'll close on this. Is what, bottom line, what I will teach you is every single one of your markets is split up in 4 quadrants. You have the bottom 25%, the next bottom 25%, the top, and then the top 25%. Does that make sense? So in your neighborhood, maybe your average sales price or median sales price, I should have paid more attention in like econ, for my econ degree, whatever average and median is, you know, the halfway point. So maybe for most people, it's like 300,000. That's the median point. Awesome. Anything under that, like, I wouldn't touch. So now if I got dropped in Topeka, Kansas, I know, okay, I got to go 300 and up. But even in Topeka, Kansas, in the top 25% of homes, you know, sold in Topeka, Kansas, that's what I want to focus on. And maybe those price points are 500,000. Does that make sense? And if somebody's buying a $500,000 home, they're probably not living under a bridge or in an apartment. So they probably have something to sell here, or they have something to sell up here and they're downsizing. Does that make sense? So in essence, if I work with the person in this top 25% quadrant and I help them buy, let's just say 500,000, and we're talking this is Topeka and other areas, like I just had someone from Naples saying like, yeah, this price point here and what it was, I was like, whoa, I got to move to Naples. But you're going to get a 500 buyer there. You're probably going to get let's just call it a 300,000. So that's 800,000 times, just say 2.5%, although we can't do any commission price fixing. We're just using that as an example. And so that's like $20,000. Yay. So now I'm cashing a $20,000 check by helping out one cool family. And since they're cool and I'm delivering a great VIP experience for them, they're going to introduce me to more cool people just like them. Let's see, conflict. Yeah, so okay, so this is good. Like the $1,000 for the 30-day accelerate and for the 3-day event, that I do not think that will last that long. If you cannot make it to the July event, then you can still sign up for this, Roberto, but come to the September one. So there's September 7th through 9th, and then there's also November 7th through 9th. So sign up today, do that 30-day accelerate that's going to start here pretty soon, so you can start to, like, in essence, make money before you even come to the event. And then either do the July 19th through 21st, the September 7th through 9th, or the November 7th through 9th. And yeah, I'd rather you get it for that lower price than, who knows, wait a month and then sign up for the September one. And what a bummer to have to pay like $2,998 for that. So do the, just send me an email or a text and I'll make sure that happens so that I got you scheduled for either the September one or the November one. Oh my gosh, if you guys have any questions on this, reach out to me, call me. I'll give you my cell phone. It's 858-212-1245. Again, 858-212-1245. And yeah, I would say step one is sign up for that. Step two would be, I mean, if you're really ready to just fully jump in and go, we could talk about you doing the Freedom Club, which is, gosh, it's where we hang out twice a week and just really put this stuff into action. So, all right, rock stars. Beautiful. I think I answered them all. So have a great day. I'm glad you guys carved the time out and, gosh, put some of this stuff into action. Serve people at a high level. That is what we do. We serve people at a high level and we help them. All right. See you guys. Bye.